and welcome to the ArtsyFartzy Club. My name is Mrs. Johnson. I am so happy that you are here with me today. Let me get a little bit bigger. There I am. Hi. All right. This is take 2 for the day. I apologize if you were on the earlier one and you could not hear me and drama. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start again, and we are just going to get right into it because I have to make it shorter. I have been awful sick, just terribly sick. I went on a mommy vacation, and it was supposed to be my mommy time, right? And I ended up being sick as a dog, as they say, and I still am struggling, losing my voice. And it turns out I have bronchitis, which is not fun. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of dive in. And what you need to start off with is a piece of 9x12 construction paper, scissors, a pencil, but I will use a marker to show you, and glue. Where'd my glue go? There we go. And we're all set. We're ready to go. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So we're going to talk about symmetry. And symmetry is having something the same on both sides when it is symmetrical. And we can make an imaginary line of symmetry down the middle of something, like, imagine if my hands were a butterfly and they are the same on both sides. So essentially, they're not exact. This ring is different than this ring, but I have a ring on that finger on each side, and there's a thumb, and it's like a reflection, okay, on a mirror. And we can create this line of symmetry by folding our paper down the middle. I'm going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And I'm going to apologize now because I really am having a hard time. I'm losing my voice. And I am not my personal best, so we'll see what we can do. I'll do as much as I can. All right. So this is the lesson I really like to do at the beginning of the school year. It's super fun that we're just starting to get to know each other, right? And something that really identifies us is our name. So when we go to do this project, it's kind of a fun way for us to get to know each other's name, and we get interested in each other's name to see how their name looks when we cut out our aliens. So I folded, and down the lengthwise, I call this like a hot dog bun, and the fold is at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and write my name, and I want my letters to try to be almost as tall as my paper for my big letters. And I want to space out my other letters. So once again, tall as my paper, leaving room in between my letters so that they spread across my paper. Okay. What sometimes my friends will have the tendency to do, excuse me, is to draw small. You always have at least one friend that does this. And if you do that, you're going to have a very short, very skinny alien. So try to draw nice and big, okay? And then I take my thumb in the little hole, my fingers in the big hole. My thumb is pointed straight up at the ceiling. And you can pick an end and start cutting. So I cut away from my body. And I'm kind of guiding around or using my name as like a guide. And I'm kind of hovering around my letter shape. And it's especially great if you have a tall letter every once in a while like this. Now, remember, I used a marker just so you can see better. I do not recommend that you use a marker because it will show through your construction paper, and we do not want that. Okay, toss that scrap to the side. Bubble around my J. Now, different people will cut this differently, and that's okay. Maybe you would go deeper into your J. I don't really want to because I don't want to get too close to my line of symmetry. It's super important. That's another thing. I always have like one kid do it where they go down the letter all the way and cut through their line of symmetry. You don't ever go down to that line, just bubbling around, okay? Because if you cut it too thin, it's just going to get really flimsy and fall apart. And now when I open it, see, this is why I don't want you to use a marker because you'll see it right through, okay? So you can just use the pencil and it will show up just fine. Now I'm just trying to think of that. I already did this lesson today. And so unfortunately, you're going to have to see my J because I used my other one that I used a pencil on. Actually, this one's better. We'll probably use this one. Okay. That's when we see it less. All right. Well, so now you got to decide. Do I want it to be this way? Do I want it to be this way? Is this going to be the feet and that's the head, or vice versa? And where am I going to go from there? All right. So I have to decide, is my alien going to have one eye, two eyes, or three eyes? And I let my students pick. I'm going to go ahead and make two eyes. And I like to cut out circles from squares because virtually it is a circle is a square with the corners cut off. So when I'm cutting, I am starting at the halfway and my goal is the other halfway. And I put my thumb in the little hole. My fingers go in the big hole. My thumb is pointed straight up at the ceiling. And now my hand is going to do all the turning. Left hand is going to do all the work. And this one is going to just snip. I'm just squeezing. So I'm starting at that halfway. Turn, turn, turn. Snip. Okay, and we're turning. Using that left hand to turn. Is it going to be an exact perfect circle? Certainly not. If I wanted a perfect circle, I would use a compass or something, or a tracer. But it doesn't have to be. And turn, turn, turn. Ta-da. All right. So all of these are scraps. We don't need them. When I'm not using my scissors, I put them down on the table. And now we're back to business. So if I did this correctly, I can just pull them apart. And I have two circles that are the same. So I can decide, where do I want these circles to go? I like that. All right, I'm going to glue my object down to my paper, not the other way around. Trying to make sure that the distance from that line of symmetry is the same, that it is as similar as possible. Okay. Now, I could have a black marker to do this. Put in my pupil. Sometimes I'll wait to the end to put in my pupil. but it really makes that alien come alive when you put in the black part of their eye. Okay, trying to make sure they're about the same size. All right, and then now we're ready to go. Now I have one major rule, right? It needs to be symmetrical. That's the word of the day today, guys. Symmetrical. So this line that we made by folding becomes our imaginary line of symmetry, okay? So a lot of times in art, we don't see the line, but in this chance, our fold is actually the line. So that really helps us out. So we want it to be the same, very similar on both sides. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to find scrap papers. I got all my scraps from different projects that I've been working on. And I am going to try to make objects in pairs, in double. So whenever I cut, I'm cutting two of something out. And I do that through folding, and we'll show that in a second. But I want it so that I have one of each on the same area on each side of that line of symmetry. So there's three ways that we can kind of choose our colors to be on our object. And that is with contrast. So we can contrast light to dark. You can contrast complementary colors, or you can contrast warm versus cool. So orange is a warm color. So my cool colors might be good choices to contrast with that. So blues, which is also complementary, right? So blue would be a perfect choice. And green would complement light blue. That's a nice one. This purple, so dark versus light. That's really dark against the lighter orange. That's contrasting. That's really nice. Okay. This doesn't contrast as much, right? Because it's lighter. They're almost a similar tone. So that probably wouldn't be a good choice. Plus, this is a warmer purple. It's starting to get into that warm color family, which once again isn't going to contrast. Red does not contrast. Does that pop out very well? Not really. They're too similar. They're too similar in tone. They're similar in their warmth. So I'm going to go ahead with those cool or darker colors. And then I'm going to start by making a tentacle. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to fold. And I'm going to put my thumb in the little hole and my finger in the big hole. My thumb is always pointed up at the ceiling. And I'm actually going to start at the end that is not the folded end. And I'm going to make some sort of tentacle shape. And I'm turning it with my left hand. And try and make sure those papers are not moving on you. That started to move on me a little bit. That could be a problem. Okay. Now, think of, what animal do you think of when you think of symmetry? Something that folds onto itself. A butterfly. I always think of a butterfly because their wings, right, fold. And so we're going to hold our pieces of paper, and that butterfly opens on its line of symmetry. Okay. And oh, my friend Percy is here. We have a cat that I got more recently. He's new and he's very loving and wants attention. And he's the most talkative, sweet cat I've ever met in my life. And I wasn't really a cat person, but I decided to do this for my kids. And anyway, he likes to hang out in my art studio in all the little nooks and crannies. And then he'll probably talk to me during this recording. So if you hear a mew, that's Percy. All right. So I'm going to open it up, that butterfly. Okay. And I will put them in the same spot. I can't have them like this. That's not symmetrical. I want them to be in the same spot, like a reflection over that line of symmetry. So for example, if I did this, that's also not a reflection of each other. Oh, nope, can you see him? Percy, come here. Say hello. Say hello. There he is. Isn't he sweet? He is so sweet. He's the sweetest. But you can't go there. He wants to go right on my art, of course, just like a kitty cat. Just like a kitty cat. Oh, you're so sweet. So cute. Anyway, okay. Sorry, buddy. You got to go. So we have to make sure that it is pointed the same way and reflecting across that line of symmetry. Excuse me. So I can put him up here. I can put him down here. Do I like him that way? No, I do like it this way. All right. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the back. Find my spot. And then I want to make sure that it is reflected across that line of symmetry and have it in a very similar distanced space, same angle. This can get tricky. All right. There we go. So now my guy has tentacles. All right, what else can I put on him? I could put on a mouth or a nose or little, just color shapes. Okay, I'm gonna make a mouth. So I folded it on the line of symmetry, and I'm gonna, because a mouth, okay, there is a half a mouth on each side of my imaginary line of symmetry on my face, but there's a whole eye on each side of that half a nose, a whole ear, right, on each side of that line. So sometimes half of an object is all you need, and sometimes an eye, a whole object, is what you need if they're separate, if there's two things. So I'm going to make this mouth. And I'm going to actually make it like it's open. So sorry, guys. Am I cutting off of screen? It's like this haze here in my mind, and I'm not making good choices. I foresee a nap in Mrs. Johnson's future. It is a struggle bus today. Whoa. Okay. So here's my mouth. And when I open it, it's a whole mouth. Oh, you're so silly. All right. What do you guys think? Too funny. Okay. So now this makes it really easy because I can line it up right on the line of symmetry. And actually, I noticed that this paper has texture. So I want to go this way because I like that texture. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the whole back all around. And then I'm going to line it up on that line of symmetry. Percy found a little spot to lay down again, I guess. So he's gotten really quiet. What a good kitty cat. Okay. All right, there we go. And I could even come in and draw in teeth or glue on teeth or whatever floats my boat, or draw a tongue, whatever. Okay, so I can do that. I'm going to just show you what I would do if I was to do an object. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So this paper is already folded. I'm going to make a shape, just a shape, whatever. A line, just a line. I'm doing a line shape. It's got some random cool design on him. Okay, so I've got my idea of my butterfly opening up, right? Being the same. And so wherever I put them, I need to go together, okay, and put them on each side. And however far away, it also has to be equally far away. However close, that's how close. So I could touch them on the line of symmetry, or they can be far away from the line of symmetry, but they're always going to be equal distant. And so I'm just going to keep doing that, guys. Your imagination is your only limitation. If you have worked with me before, creativity is key. Thinking outside the box. What can you do? What can you add to make this artwork unique to you? Okay. So now I would just keep going, keep cutting and adding shapes and adding decoration. I can add hands and tentacles, and maybe it's bumpy like a toad, or it's got other eyeballs, or it's wearing a uniform to go into outer space, or it has antennas to receive information. Okay, whatever your mind can create, you can make it into onto your art. And I don't only have to do cutouts. Cutouts are great. It's a really great way for you to make a big impact in a really short period of time. But I also can draw. And so if I were to take a color, and let's say I wanted to draw that tongue in, and I go, I'm going to do this bump for the tongue. Okay. If I did it on one side, I have to draw an equal bump on the other side. And that's the tricky part, is making them the same, right? On each side on that line of symmetry. Or I can draw designs. Maybe he's got some kind of texture on his face. Okay, or designs on his face. Gotta make this one a little bit bigger to equal that one. Okay. Or I can start adding in eyelashes and eyebrows. And I had another example that I did jetpacks and stuff. I'll show you that in a second. But so whatever I do, drawing wise, same idea. You have to make it symmetrical. So I like to use construction paper crayons for this project. I'm using, these are Prisma colored pencils. They're really high quality colored pencils that show up really great on any color construction paper, even dark colors. So I highly recommend, but they're an investment. So not ideal for probably your average classroom, but in the art room, it was worth it to me. And also Gel FX. I love Gel FX markers for this kind of a project that you're going to just draw lines and shapes. But my fair warning, gel effects dry out really easily. You got to really be on your students to make sure that they close the tops of those markers. And I wouldn't use them for big, huge projects because they dry up so fast, they get used up so fast. But drawing lines and shapes, keeping it simple, that you don't have to fill in big, huge spaces, is ideal. Excuse me again. So once again, anything I do, loop-de-loo, I got to do the same thing here. And it can be very challenging, loop-de-loo, right? To do it the same and to reverse it in your brain it's hard. It's a hard thing. So, oh, I'm making it into a triangle shape. And then I go, okay, I got to do the same thing here. All right. I love drawing when I draw and I think about making these noises while I draw. I'll do that like when I'm making particular, see, and that's not looking terribly symmetrical, is it? Oh, you sneaker. It's tricky making them the same, even for me, especially with the thick haze. So hard to think right now. But anyway, so I used to follow this artist when I was a little kid, and his name is Mark Kistler, and I don't even know if he's still alive. But when I started watching him, he was a young man, and by young, I guess he was probably in his early 30s, and but he would make noises while he drew, especially action lines. He'd be like, yeah. And so now when I make noises while I draw, it makes me think of him. So if you've never seen him before, try looking him up. I guarantee you he's somewhere on YouTube. He was a cool guy. But anyway, so let me give you another example of the one I did earlier. So I started to create kind of this persona for my alien. So it would be cool. You know, we're here, we're writing our names, and we're really excited about getting to know our table mates and all the stuff in school. And then we've got this cool creature that's unique to us. It's special. It's identifying. It's kind of an avatar for me, right? I created this guy. This is my man. There's my alien, girl or guy that it may be. And I start doing these details, and I go, oh, you know what? I'm doing these lines. These are gills, and my alien can breathe underwater. And then I started to create this. It's not feet. I made it into a booster, like a jetpack, and my alien can do a jetpack to get where he needs to go. And in fact, I said, oh, he's got these cool tentacles. He uses this tentacle to scratch his quizzical unibrow, right? When he's got a question, he's trying to think really hard. So I can create a name. I could create a whole character persona. This could be an inspiration for a journal entry or a short writing. You know, so my alien, Schnard lives on the planet Snorfblat, and he goes to school, and he's in the blue class, the blue triangles class. And to get there, he has to use his jetpack to cross the Martian desert. And he carries his lunch of Martian berries in with his tentacle. And when he gets there, they have recess underwater, and he breathes underwater with his gills. I don't know. I'm just getting creative. But once again, your imagination is your only limitation. And my goodness, I am so sorry that I've been sick today. But I hope that gives you an idea of how these are both made from my name, and just by cutting them just slightly different. And then once again, hey, so this guy had 3 eyes. So when you do that third eye, it has to be on the line of symmetry, right? Because like a nose, half a nose and half a nose. Okay. So you're teaching them about symmetry. And so that's how you can add in that third eye. So I can have 2 eyes. I could have 1 eye. I can have 3 eyes. But I just put out those 2x2 white squares of paper, and they can choose if they want 1, 2, or 3 eyes. And then I just throw in all these scraps of paper for choices. So once again, your limitation is your imagination. I'm providing all these different colors and materials, and you like go and create. And it's the beginning of the year, so show me what you got, right? So even though these 2 guys were both made today, they're totally different. They've, I mean, I talked about the same ideas, like I made a tentacle, but they're totally created differently. Every kid is going to have a unique, cool project. And they laugh and they have such a good time, and they're talking about their name and how did your name cut out, and oh my goodness, and that's so silly, and oh, my guy's gonna do this. My guy's got antennas coming out of his head. I didn't even do that. That would have been the easy answer, right? I can have symmetrical antennas coming out of his head. Whatever you come up with. Your imagination is your only limitation. And I hope that you guys enjoy this project. It's so fun for that beginning of the year, getting to know you stuff. I hope that you really enjoyed this art lesson today. It was lots of fun. And if you've never been here before, you are officially an ArtsyFartzy Club member. Yay! Again, my name is Mrs. Johnson. If nobody's told you today, I absolutely love you. And be sure to do all the YouTube things, like, share this video out to help out my channel, please. And make sure that you subscribe so you're notified and reminded every Saturday when I go live at 11 a.m. Eastern. And don't forget to catch our Wednesday pre-recorded episodes of Art Inspired by Books. Those are always a lot of fun. Thank you once again for being here. And until I see you again, I hope that you are absolutely art-tastic.